Danny Martinez woke up to the sound of screaming. The 12-year-old boy jumped out of his bed and ran to the window of his family's small house. Outside, he could see bright lights flashing in the dark sky above New Haven Colony. But these were not the normal lights from the mining ships that his parents worked on. These lights were different. They were scary. "Katie," Danny called to his older sister. "Katie, wake up." Something is wrong. Katie Martinez was 16 years old. She had been taking care of Danny for the past year while their parents worked long hours in the asteroid mines. She heard her little brother calling and quickly got out of bed. When she looked out the window, her face went pale. "Those are not our ships," she whispered. "Danny, we need to hide right now." The lights in the sky were getting bigger and brighter. Soon, Danny could see that they were huge metal ships. They looked nothing like the small mining ships he was used to seeing. These ships were dark and scary, with sharp edges and glowing red marks on their sides. Suddenly, the ships started shooting beams of light down at the colony. Where the beams hit, buildings exploded into flames. Danny could hear people screaming and running in the streets. The air filled with smoke and the smell of burning metal. "Mom and Dad," Danny cried. "We have to find Mom and Dad." Katie grabbed her little brother's hand. "They are working on the night shift in the mines. They are far away from here. We need to get to the emergency shelter." But it was too late. The front door of their house burst open with a loud crash. 3 tall figures walked in. They were not human. They looked like giant lizards that walked on 2 legs. Their skin was dark green and covered in small scales. Their eyes glowed yellow in the dark. They wore black armor and carried weapons. That looked like nothing Danny had ever seen. "Humans," one of the aliens said in a voice that sounded like rocks grinding together. "Young humans. These will do." Katie pushed Danny behind her. "Run, Danny! Run to the back door." But more aliens were already coming through the back of the house. There was nowhere to go. One of the aliens pointed his weapon at Katie and Danny. A blue light shot out of it and hit them both. Danny felt his whole body go numb. He could not move. He could not even speak. But he could still see and hear everything. The aliens picked up Danny and Katie like they were bags of rice. They carried them outside where many other people from the colony were lying on the ground. Danny could see his friends from school. He could see the man who ran the food store. He could see the woman who taught them about the stars. All of them were lying still, just like him. "Load them into the ship," the alien leader said. "The young ones will bring good prices at the markets." Danny's heart was beating so fast, he thought it might burst. He wanted to scream, but he could not make any sound. He wanted to run, but his legs would not work. The aliens were taking them away from their home. They were taking them away from their parents. The aliens loaded all the people from the colony into the bottom of their big ship. Danny found himself lying next to Katie on a cold metal floor. Around them were dozens of other people. Some were crying quietly. Others were just staring at the ceiling with empty eyes. After what felt like hours, the strange blue light that had made them unable to move started to wear off. Danny could wiggle his fingers first, then his toes. Soon, he could sit up and talk again. "Katie," he whispered. "Are you okay?" His sister sat up slowly. Her face was dirty, and there was a cut on her forehead. "I'm okay, Danny, but we are in big trouble." An old man sitting near them heard their voices. "You kids need to stay quiet," he said softly. "These are Vorthan slavers. They attack colonies like ours and take people to sell them." "Sell us?" Danny asked. "Like things in a store?" The old man nodded sadly. "Different worlds buy humans for different reasons. Some use us to work in mines. Others use us to fight in their wars. And some ... He stopped talking and looked away. "Somewhat?" Katie asked. Some use us for entertainment, the old man said. They make us fight each other or fight their animals for sport. Danny felt sick to his stomach. He had heard stories about bad aliens who lived in the dark parts of space. But he never thought he would meet them. He never thought they would come to his quiet little colony. The ship flew through space for many days. The aliens gave them very little food and water. They were only allowed to use the bathroom once a day. Many people got sick. Some of the older people died. The aliens would take their bodies and throw them out into space. Danny tried to be brave, but he was so scared. He missed his parents. He missed his warm bed. He missed playing with his friends. He wanted to go home more than anything in the world. Katie did her best to take care of him. She would give him half of her food when he was extra hungry. She would tell him stories about their parents to help him fall asleep. She would hold his hand when the ship shook and made scary noises. "Don't worry, Danny," she would say. "Mom and Dad will find us. They will come and take us home." But Danny was starting to think that might not be true. They were very far from home now. The stars outside the small windows looked different. Everything was different. On the 7th day, the ship finally stopped. The aliens came down to where all the humans were kept. They looked at everyone carefully, like they were choosing fruit at a market. "This one," the alien leader said, pointing at a strong-looking man. "He will work well in the mines." "This one," another alien said, pointing at a woman. "She can cook food." They went through all the people, choosing where each one would go. Danny held Katie's hand tightly. He hoped they would not be separated. Katie was all he had left, but when the alien leader came to them, he smiled in a way that made Danny's skin crawl. "Ah, young humans, the boy is very small. Too small for hard work. What should we do with him?" Another alien asked. The leader looked at Danny for a long time. The crowds on Zarian Prime love to see small creatures fight. They will pay good money to watch this little human try to survive in the pit. "No," Katie screamed. "He's just a child. Take me instead." The alien leader laughed. It was a horrible sound. "That is exactly why they will pay so much. The smaller and weaker the creature, the more fun it is to watch it die." Danny did not understand what they were talking about, but he could see the fear in Katie's eyes. Whatever they were planning to do to him, it was very bad. The aliens grabbed Danny and started to drag him away from his sister. Katie fought and scratched and bit, trying to get to him. But there were too many aliens, and they were too strong. "Danny," Katie screamed as they pulled her in a different direction. "I'll find you. I promise I'll find you." Danny reached out his hand toward his sister as the aliens carried him away. He could see her crying and fighting to get free. Then she was gone, and Danny was alone with the aliens. They put him in a small cage by himself. The cage was so small, he could not stand up straight. There was no bed, no blanket, nothing but cold metal bars. Through the bars, he could see other cages with other creatures inside. Some looked like animals from Earth, but others were things he had never seen before. "Welcome to your new home, little human," the alien leader said. "Try to get some rest. Tomorrow, you will learn what it means to fight for your life." Danny curled up in the corner of his cage and cried. He cried for his parents who were probably looking for him. He cried for Katie, who had been taken somewhere else. He cried for his home that was now just a memory. But even though he was scared and alone, Danny made a promise to himself. He would not give up. He would find a way to survive. He would find a way to get back to Katie. He would find a way to go home. He did not know it yet, but his biggest test was still coming. Tomorrow, he would be thrown into a pit with a creature that had never lost a fight. Tomorrow, his life would change in ways he could never imagine. Danny woke up to the sound of loud voices and metal doors slamming. He had barely slept in the tiny cage. His back hurt from lying on the hard metal floor. His stomach hurt from hunger. The aliens had given him only a small cup of water and a piece of stale bread since yesterday. "Get up, little human," one of the aliens said as he unlocked Danny's cage. "Today is your big day." Danny crawled out of the cage slowly. His legs were stiff and sore. The alien grabbed his arm and pulled him down a long hallway. There were more cages along the walls. Inside them, Danny could see all kinds of strange creatures. Some were small and scared-looking like him. Others were big and dangerous, with sharp teeth and claws. "Where are you taking me?" Danny asked. The alien laughed. "To the arena, of course. The crowd is very excited to see you fight the shadow of Zerion." "I don't want to fight anyone," Danny said. "I just want to go home." "Home?" The alien laughed even harder. "You don't have a home anymore, little human. Your home is now the pit. If you can survive long enough, maybe we will let you fight again tomorrow." They walked through many hallways and up many stairs. Finally, they came to a big metal door. The alien pushed it open, and Danny was hit by a wave of sound and light. The arena was huge. It was like a giant bowl carved out of black rock. In the center was a deep pit with high walls. Around the pit were thousands of seats filled with aliens of all different kinds. They were all screaming and cheering and making noise. Ladies and gentlemen of all species. A voice boomed across the arena. "Today we have a special treat. A young human child will face our champion, the Shadow of Zerion." The crowd went wild. They were stomping their feet and waving their arms. Some were throwing things into the pit. Danny could see money changing hands as the aliens made bets on what would happen to him. "The human has no weapons," the announcer continued. "No armor, no training. He is just a small, soft creature from a weak planet. How long do you think he will last against our greatest predator?" The crowd shouted numbers. Some said 1 minute. Others said 30 seconds. A few said he would die in 10 seconds. Danny felt sick. These aliens were going to watch him die for fun. They were treating it like a game. The alien guard pushed Danny toward a platform that would lower him into the pit. "Any last words, little human?" Danny thought about his parents. He thought about Katie. He thought about his quiet home on New Haven Colony. "I want to see my sister," he said quietly. "Maybe in the next life," the alien said, and pushed Danny onto the platform. The platform dropped down into the pit with a loud clang. Danny found himself standing in the middle of a circle of black stone. The walls were too high to climb. There was nowhere to run. There was nowhere to hide. The crowd got quiet. Danny could hear his own heart beating. He looked up at all the alien faces staring down at him. Some looked excited. Others looked hungry. All of them wanted to see him hurt. "And now," the announcer said, "let us bring out the Shadow of Zerion." A gate on the other side of the pit started to open. It opened slowly, like the mouth of a giant monster. At first, Danny could not see anything in the darkness behind the gate. Then he heard a sound that made his blood turn cold. It was a low growl that seemed to shake the whole arena. Two glowing eyes appeared in the darkness. They were orange like fire and bigger than Danny's hands. Then he saw the creature that owned those eyes. It was the biggest cat Danny had ever seen. It looked like a panther, but it was as big as a car. Its fur was completely black, so black that it seemed to eat the light around it. Its muscles moved under its skin like thick ropes. Its claws were as long as kitchen knives and looked sharp, enough to cut through metal. The crowd cheered even louder when they saw the beast. "Nixara! Nixara!" They chanted. The creature walked into the pit slowly. It moved like liquid shadow, not making any sound at all. Its burning orange eyes were fixed on Danny. It was studying him like a hunter studies its prey. Danny wanted to run, but there was nowhere to go. He wanted to scream, but no sound came out of his mouth. He wanted to close his eyes, but he could not look away from the terrible creature walking toward him. The beast stopped about 10 feet away from Danny. It was so big that even on 4 legs, its head was almost as high as Danny's chest. It opened its mouth slightly, and Danny could see teeth as long as his fingers. The crowd was going crazy. They wanted to see blood. They wanted to see the small human boy get torn apart by the giant cat. But something strange happened. Instead of attacking right away, the creature just stood there looking at Danny. It tilted its head to one side, like a dog that hears a strange sound. Then it started to walk around Danny in a slow circle. Danny turned to keep facing the beast as it moved around him. His father had told him once that if you ever meet a dangerous animal, you should not run. Running makes you look like prey. You should stand still and try to look bigger than you are. So Danny stood as tall as he could. He kept his eyes on the creature's eyes. His hands were shaking and his knees felt weak, but he did not run. The creature finished its circle and stopped in front of Danny again. It lowered its huge head and sniffed the air around the boy. Danny could feel its hot breath on his face. He could smell its wild animal smell. The crowd was getting restless. "Why is it not killing him?" someone shouted. "Make it attack." The creature heard the shouts from above. Its ears flicked back, and it made a sound that was almost like a sigh. Then it looked at Danny again, and Danny saw something in its eyes that he did not expect. The creature looked tired. It looked sad. "Hey," Danny said softly, the way he used to talk to stray cats back home. "It's okay. I'm scared too." The creature's ears came forward. It tilted its head again and made a soft rumbling sound deep in its throat. It was not a growl. It was almost like a purr. "I don't want to fight you," Danny continued in his quiet voice. "You don't want to fight me either, do you?" The crowd was getting angry. They had paid money to see a fight, and all they were getting was a boy talking to a cat. The pitmaster, a big alien with purple skin and 4 arms, stood up in his special box. "Release the stimulators," he shouted. Suddenly, gates around the pit opened, and smaller creatures ran out. They looked like wolves, but they had more teeth and longer claws. There were 6 of them, and they were all snarling and snapping at Danny. Danny backed up against the wall of the pit. The wolf things were coming at him from all sides. He was going to die. He was going to be torn apart by these horrible animals. While thousands of aliens watched and cheered. But then something amazing happened. The giant black cat moved faster than Danny thought possible. It jumped over Danny's head and landed between him and the wolf things. It let out a roar that was so loud it hurt Danny's ears and made the whole arena shake. The wolf things stopped running. They looked up at the massive cat, and their ears went flat against their heads. They knew they were in trouble. The cat attacked them with a fury that Danny had never seen before. It moved like black lightning, its claws flashing in the arena. Lights. One wolf thing tried to run, but the cat caught it and threw it against the wall. Another tried to attack the cat from behind, but the cat spun around and bit it in half. In less than a minute, all 6 wolf things were dead. The giant cat stood over their bodies, breathing hard. Its fur was splattered with blood, but none of it was its own blood. The crowd was silent. They could not believe what they had just seen. The shadow of Xerion had protected the human boy instead of killing him. Danny stared at the creature in amazement. It had saved his life. This terrible beast that was supposed to kill him had fought other animals to keep him safe. The cat turned around and looked at Danny. Its orange eyes were still glowing, but they did not look mean anymore. They looked almost gentle. "Thank you," Danny whispered. The cat walked over to Danny and sat down next to him. It was still huge and scary, but Danny was not afraid anymore. He reached out his hand slowly and touched the cat's head. Its fur was softer than he expected. The cat made that rumbling purr sound again. It was like having a warm engine sitting next to him. The pitmaster was furious. "Guards!" he shouted. "Get that human out of there. We will try again tomorrow with a different beast." But when the guards came to the edge of the pit, the cat stood up and growled at them. It was a sound that promised terrible things would happen to anyone who tried to hurt Danny. The guards backed away quickly. "On second thought," the pitmaster said, "let them stay together tonight. Maybe the beast will eat the boy when it gets hungry." Guards lowered a platform into the pit. They put a bowl of water and some scraps of meat on it, then pulled it back up quickly before the cat could reach them without Danny and the cat were alone in the pit. The arena was empty now, except for the cleaning crews who were hosing down the seats. Danny sat down against the wall, and the cat lay down next to him. "My name is Danny," the boy said to the cat. "What's your name? I heard them call you Nixara. Is that your name?" The cat looked at him and made a soft sound. Danny decided to take that as a yes. "Nixara," Danny said, trying to pronounce it right. "That's a pretty name. Are you a girl cat or a boy cat?" Nixara made the soft sound again and gently head-butted Danny's arm. Danny laughed for the first time since he had been captured. "I think you're a girl," he said. "You remind me of a cat we had back home. Her name was Midnight because she was all black like you." Nixara seemed to like being Danny, woke up feeling warmer than he had in days. For a moment, he forgot where he was. Then he opened his eyes and saw black fur right in front of his face. Nixara had curled around him during the night like a giant, purring blanket. The cat was already awake. Her orange eyes were watching the guards who were standing at the edge of the pit looking down at them. The guards seemed nervous. They kept whispering to each other and pointing at Nixara. "Look at that," one guard said. "The beast didn't eat the human. They slept together like friends." "The pitmaster is not going to like this," another guard said. He wanted the boy dead by morning. Danny sat up slowly, trying not to wake Nixara completely. But the big cat was already moving. She stretched like a house cat, except her stretch was bigger than Danny's whole body. Then she stood up and walked to the water bowl that had been left for them. Danny watched as Nixara drank. She was so graceful for such a big creature. Every movement she made was smooth and controlled. Danny could see the muscles moving under her black fur like waves under dark water. When she was done drinking, Nixara picked up one of the pieces of meat in her mouth and brought it to Danny. She dropped it at his feet and made a soft rumbling sound. "Is this for me?" Danny asked. Nixara nudged the meat toward him with her nose. Danny picked it up. It was not cooked, but he was so hungry that he did not care. He tore off small pieces and ate them slowly. Nixara watched him eat with her head tilted to one side. When Danny was finished, she licked his face with her huge tongue. It was rough like sandpaper, but it was gentle. "Thank you," Danny said, rubbing behind Nixara's ears. "You shared your food with me." More guards appeared at the edge of the pit. With them came the pitmaster, the purple alien with 4 arms. He looked very angry. "What is the meaning of this?" The pitmaster shouted, "Why is the human still alive?" "The shadow refuses to kill him, sir," one of the guards said. "She has been protecting him." "Protecting him?" The pitmaster's 4 arms waved in the air. "She is supposed to be a killer. She is supposed to fight, not make friends." The pitmaster turned to another alien who was wearing fancy clothes covered in jewels. "I am sorry about this, Lord Vexcar. Your money will be returned. We will fix this problem today." Lord Vexcar was a tall, thin alien with blue skin and no hair. His eyes were completely black. "I did not come here for my money back," he said in a cold voice. "I came here to see something die. If the beast will not kill the human, then find something that will kill them both." Danny felt scared again. These aliens would not stop until he was dead. They would keep sending more and more dangerous creatures into the pit until something finally killed him. But Nyxara seemed to understand what was happening too. She moved to stand between Danny and the aliens above. She looked up at them and growled low in her throat. It was a warning. "Sir," one of the guards said to the pitmaster, "maybe we should wait. The crowd loves a mystery. They are talking about the human and the shadow all over the city. We could sell many tickets if we keep them alive a little longer." The pitmaster thought about this. Danny could see him counting money in his head. "Fine," he said finally. "But I want them in separate cells. If they are apart, maybe the beast will remember how to kill." Guards came down into the pit on a platform. They carried long poles with loops on the end to catch Nyxara around the neck. But when they got close, she roared so loudly that pieces of stone fell from the ceiling. The guards ran back to their platform and went up quickly. "She won't let you separate them," one guard called to the pitmaster. "Then leave them," the pitmaster shouted back. "But no more food. If the beast gets hungry enough, she will eat the human." The aliens left Danny and Nyxara alone in the pit. Danny sat down on the stone floor, and Nyxara lay down next to him. The boy looked at his new friend and wondered why she was being so kind to him. "Why are you helping me?" Danny asked her. "You don't even know me." Nyxara made a soft sound and put her huge head in Danny's lap. Danny started petting her head and noticed something he had not seen before. There were scars in her fur, long, thin scars that looked like they came from whips. There were also round scars that looked like they came from something hot being pressed against her skin. "Someone hurt you," Danny said quietly. "Someone hurt you a lot." Nyxara's ears went back when Danny touched the scars. She made a sad sound. That broke Danny's heart. "I'm sorry," Danny said. "I'm sorry they hurt you. Nobody should hurt a beautiful cat like you." Danny kept petting Nyxara and talking to her in his soft voice. As he did, he started to understand something. Nyxara was not just a wild beast. She was smart, very smart. And she was alone, just like he was. "You miss your family too, don't you?" Danny asked. Nyxara looked up at him with her orange eyes. In those eyes, Danny saw something that made him want to cry. He saw loneliness. He saw pain. He saw a creature who had been taken from her home, just like he had been taken from his. That night, Danny had bad dreams. He dreamed about the attack on his colony. He dreamed about his parents being hurt. He dreamed about Katie being taken away. In his dreams, he was running through burning buildings, trying to find his family, but he could never reach them. Danny woke up crying and shaking. But Nyxara was there. She had wrapped herself around him again, and she was making gentle purring sounds to calm him down. "I miss them so much," Danny whispered into her fur. "I miss my mom and dad. I miss Katie. I just want to go home." Nyxara licked his face again and made soft sounds like she was trying to talk to him. Danny wiped his eyes and looked at her. "You understand, don't you? You miss your home too." Nyxara stood up and walked to the wall of the pit. She put her paws up on the stone and looked up at the night sky. Danny could see stars through the opening at the top of the arena. Nyxara made a long, sad sound that echoed through the empty arena. "That's where you come from, isn't it?" Danny said. "One of those stars. Someone took you from your home and brought you here to fight." Danny walked over and stood next to Nyxara. He put his hand on her side and looked up at the stars. "With her. My home is up there too," he said. It's called New Haven. It's not very big, but it was nice. My parents worked in the asteroid mines. Katie and I went to school and played with our friends. It was quiet and safe and good. Nixara looked down at Danny and made a questioning sound. Katie is my sister, Danny explained. She's 4 years older than me. She has brown hair like mine, but hers is long. She always took care of me when Mom and Dad were working. She taught me how to read and how to play games. She made me feel safe. Danny's voice got quiet. She tried to save me when the aliens took us. She fought them and screamed at them. She wanted them to take her instead of me, but they took us both anyway. Nixara nuzzled Danny's shoulder with her head. She made gentle sounds like she was trying to comfort him. I don't know where she is now, Danny said. I hope she's okay. I hope someone is taking care of her like you're taking care of me. They spent the next few days together in the pit. The aliens would not give them any more food, but Nixara showed Danny something amazing. She knew about hidden passages in the pit. During the day, when guards were watching, Nixara would lie still and sleep. But at night, when it was dark, she would get up and go to certain places in the wall. She would push on stones that looked just like all the other stones, and secret passages would open. How did you know about these? Danny asked as they crawled through a narrow tunnel. Nixara made soft sounds and led him deeper into the passages. Soon they came to a small room that the guards did not know about. In the room were bones from animals that had been killed in the arena. But there was also fresh water dripping from the ceiling, and even some plants growing in cracks in the asse. Walls. Nixara showed Danny how to eat the plants. They were not very tasty, but they kept him from being too hungry. She also showed him how to collect the clean water in his hands to drink. You've been living in these tunnels, Danny realized. This is how you survived here for so long. As they spent more time together, Danny learned more about Nixara. She was not just smart, she was very smart. She understood most of what Danny said to her. She could count. She could solve problems. She even seemed to have a sense of humor. One day, Danny was feeling very sad. He was sitting in their hidden room crying because he missed his family so much. Nixara disappeared for a while, and when she came back, she was carrying something in her mouth. It was a small piece of metal that had been bent and twisted into the shape of a flower. Danny did not know where she had found it or how she had made it, but she dropped it in front of him like a present. Is this for me? Danny asked, picking up the metal flower. Nixara purred and rubbed against him. Danny hugged her neck and felt a little bit better. Thank you, he said. It's beautiful. I'll keep it forever. That night, as they lay together in the dark, Danny made a decision. He was not going to just wait for the aliens to kill him. He was going to find a way to escape. He was going to find Katie, and he was going to take Nixara with him. We're going to. Katie Martinez had not slept well in weeks. The slave quarters where the aliens kept her were cold, dark, and crowded with people from many different planets. She shared a small room with 12 other prisoners. Most of them were humans, but there were also some blue-skinned people from a planet called Kepler-7, and some tall, thin aliens with silver skin. Every day, Katie thought about her little brother. Every night, she lay awake wondering if Danny was still alive. The other prisoners had told her terrible stories about what happened in the arena. They said the aliens threw people into pits to fight monsters for entertainment. They said most people died within minutes, but Katie refused to believe that Danny was dead. He was small, but he was smart and brave. She had to believe he was still alive somewhere. You need to eat something, said the woman lying on the sleeping mat next to Katie's. Her name was Lisa Chun, and she had been captured from a research station 6 months ago. You're getting too thin. Katie looked at the bowl of gray mush that was supposed to be food. It smelled bad and tasted worse. "I'm not hungry," she said. "You have to keep your strength up," Lisa said gently. "If you get sick, they'll just throw you away like garbage." Katie knew Lisa was right, but it was hard to care about staying alive when she did not know what had happened to Danny. She forced herself to eat a few spoonfuls of the mush and pushed the bowl away. "Tell me again about the arena," Katie said. To an old man sitting nearby. His name was Jack Morrison, and he had been a soldier before the aliens captured him. "Tell me what you heard about a human boy and a cat." Jack looked around to make sure the guards were not listening, then moved closer to Katie. "The word is spreading through all the slave quarters," he said quietly. "They say a human child was thrown into the pit with the shadow of Xerion. Everyone expected the boy to die in seconds. But he didn't," Katie said. It was not a question. She somehow knew in her heart that the boy they were talking about was Danny. "No, he didn't," Jack said with a smile. "The shadow protected him instead of killing him. They say the boy and the cat are living together in the pit like friends. The aliens don't know what to do about it." Katie felt hope growing in her chest like a warm light. "How do you know all this?" "The guards talk," Jack said. "They think we don't understand their language, but some of us do. They're confused and scared. Nothing like this has ever happened before." A blue-skinned woman named Zira from Kepler 7 joined their conversation. "In my culture, we have stories about the shadow of Xerion," she said in her musical voice. "Long ago, before the Vorthans conquered this world, the shadows were the guardians of this planet. They were wise and kind, not the killers the aliens have made them become." "You mean Nixara might not be naturally violent?" Katie asked. "The shadows only became fighters because the aliens tortured them and forced them to," Zara explained. "In the old stories, they were protectors. They bonded with other creatures and kept them safe." This made Katie even more sure that the boy in the arena was Danny. Her little brother had always been good with animals. Back on New Haven, every stray cat and lost dog would follow him home. He had a way of making scared creatures trust him. Over the next few days, more stories came from the arena. The guards were getting nervous because the crowd was asking questions. People wanted to know why the shadow was protecting the human instead of killing him. Some aliens were even starting to bet on how long the friendship would last instead of betting on when the boy would die. "This is our chance," Jack said one evening when the guards were not watching closely. "The aliens are distracted. They don't know what to do about the situation in the arena. If we're going to try to escape, now is the time." "Escape?" Lisa whispered. "How? This place is full of guards and locked doors." Jack had been thinking about this for months. "I've been watching the guards. I've been learning their routines. There are times when they're not paying attention. And there are other prisoners here who want to fight back." He looked around the room at all the different people and aliens who had been captured and brought here. We're not just humans. We're from many different worlds. We all have different skills and abilities. If we work together, we might have a chance. Katie felt something she had not felt in weeks. She felt hope. "What do you need me to do?" "Help me talk to the others," Jack said. "Help me convince them that we can fight back. Tell them about your brother and the shadow. Tell them that even the deadliest predator on this planet chose friendship over violence. Maybe we can inspire others to be brave too." Katie nodded. She would do anything if it meant she could find Danny. They spent the next several days quietly talking to other prisoners. Katie told Danny's story over and over again. She told them how a 12-year-old boy had somehow made friends with a creature that had killed hundreds of fighters. She told them that if a scared little kid could find courage in that terrible pit, then they could find courage too. The The story spread through the slave quarters like fire. People who had given up hope started to believe that maybe they could fight back. People who had been too scared to try escaping started to think that maybe it was possible. But they were not the only ones hearing about Danny and Nixara. In the arena complex, other gladiators were talking too. There was a big alien with red skin and 4 arms, who had been fighting in the arena for 3 years. His name was Korax, and he had won so many fights that the crowds loved him. But he was tired of killing. He was tired of being a slave. "Tell me more about this human child," Korax said to another gladiator, a wolf-like creature called Fenris. "They say he talks to the shadow like she's his pet," Fenris said. "They say she brings him food and protects him from other creatures." "Impossible," said another gladiator, a giant insect-like being called Razor. "The shadow is a killer. She doesn't have friends." "Maybe she was a killer because she had to be," Korax said thoughtfully. "Maybe she was waiting for someone to show her kindness." The gladiators had been kept in separate cells so they could not plan together. But now they were all talking about the same thing. They were talking about a human boy who had done something no one thought was possible. Meanwhile, in the pit, Danny and Nixara were preparing for something big. Nixara had been showing Danny more of the hidden tunnels under the arena. Some of them led to the cells where other gladiators were kept. Others led to the slave quarters. A few even led to the outside. "You've been planning this for a long time, haven't you?" Danny asked as they crawled through a narrow passage. Nixara made a soft rumbling sound that Danny had learned meant yes. "You were waiting for the right time to escape. But you needed help." Another rumble. "And now you have me." Nixara stopped crawling and turned to look at Danny. In the dim light of the tunnel, her orange eyes glowed like small suns. She nuzzled his face gently and purred. They came to a place where several tunnels met. Danny could hear voices coming from different directions. Some sounded like the gladiators talking in their cells. Others sounded like prisoners in the slave quarters. "We could free them all," Danny whispered. "We could help everyone escape together." Nixara's ears perked up. She seemed to like this idea. That night, they put their plan into action. While the guards were sleeping or playing cards, Danny and Nixara moved through the tunnels. They went to the gladiator cells first. Danny crawled through a small opening that led to Korax's cell. The big red alien was lying on the floor, staring at the ceiling. When he saw Danny appear through what looked like solid wall, his 4 eyes went wide. "You're the human from the pit," Korax said in a low voice. "My name is Danny," the boy said, "and I'm here to help you escape." "Escape?" Korax sat up quickly. "How?" Danny showed him the hidden opening. "There are tunnels all through this place. Nixara knows them all. We can get everyone out." "The shadow is with you?" "She's my friend," Danny said simply. "She wants to help too." Korax looked at this small human boy who was offering him freedom. He had been waiting for this chance for 3 years. "What do you need me to do?" "Help me free the others," Danny said. "Then we all escape together." One by one, Danny and Nixara freed the gladiators from their cells. Korax helped them move through the tunnels. Fenris used his keen senses to watch for guards. Razor used his sharp claws to cut through locked doors. Then they went to the slave quarters. Danny found the room where Katie was sleeping and crawled through the small opening. "Katie," he whispered. His sister woke up and saw him crouching by her sleeping mat. For a moment, she thought she was dreaming. Then she grabbed him and hugged him so tightly he could barely breathe. "Danny. Oh my God, Danny. I thought you were dead." "I'm okay," Danny whispered back. "But we have to be quiet. I'm here to get you out." "How?" "The doors are locked and there are guards everywhere." Danny smiled and pointed to the opening in the wall. Nixara showed me a better way. Katie followed her brother through the tunnels, and when she saw the giant black cat waiting for them, she stopped breathing. Nixara was even bigger than she had imagined. "It's okay," Danny said, taking Katie's hand. "She's my friend. She's saved my life." Katie looked into Nixara's orange eyes and saw intelligence and kindness. The cat made a soft sound and gently bumped Katie's hand with her head. "She's beautiful," Katie whispered. Soon they had freed dozens of prisoners and gladiators. They all gathered in a large cave that connected to the tunnel side. The alarm bells started ringing just as Danny and his group reached the main level of the arena complex. Red lights flashed everywhere, and the sound of running feet echoed through the hallways. The guards had discovered that the prisoners were missing. This way, Nixara led them through a service corridor that she had scouted during her years. In captivity, the big cat moved silently despite her size, and the group of freed prisoners followed her like shadows. Danny held Katie's hand tightly as they ran. He could not believe his sister was really here with him. After so many days of thinking he would never see her again, having her by his side felt like a miracle. "Danny," Katie whispered as they moved through the dark corridor, "I can't believe you made friends with her. How did you do it?" Danny looked ahead at Nixara, who was leading them toward an exit. "I just talked to her like she was a person instead of a monster," he said. "I think she was lonely, just like me." Behind them, Jack Morrison and the other gladiators were helping the weaker prisoners keep up. Corax was carrying an old woman who could not walk fast enough. Fenris was helping an injured alien from a planet called Rigel 4. They all worked together like a real team. Guards ahead, Nixara's low growl warned them. The group stopped at a corner where two hallways met. Danny could hear alien voices and the sound of weapons being checked. There were at least 6 guards blocking their path to the exit. "We'll have to fight our way through," Corax said, his forearms flexing. "Wait," Danny said. He had an idea. "What if we don't have to fight? What if we can make them run away?" He whispered his plan to the group. Katie looked worried, but Jack Morrison smiled. "That's either very brave or very crazy," the old soldier said. "With this kid, it's usually both," Katie said with a small smile. Danny stepped around the corner, first walking slowly toward the guards. The aliens saw him and raised their weapons. "Stop right there, human," the guard captain shouted. "You're supposed to be in the pit." "I know," Danny said calmly, "but I wanted to show you something." Before the guards could react, Nixara walked around the corner behind Danny. The massive black cat moved with deadly grace, her orange eyes glowing in the red emergency lights. The guards had never seen her outside of the pit before. Here in the narrow hallway, she looked even more terrifying. But what scared the guards most was not Nixara herself. It was the way she stayed right behind Danny, like she was following his orders. The most dangerous predator on the planet was obeying a human child. "How double quotes the guard captain stammered. How are you controlling the shadow?" "I'm not controlling her," Danny said. "She's my friend. And she doesn't like it when people try to hurt her friends." Nixara took one step forward and let out a low growl that made the walls vibrate. The guards looked at their weapons and realized that all the blasters in the world would not save them if the shadow decided to attack in this narrow space. "Run," Danny said quietly. The guards ran. The group made it to the exit without any more trouble. But when they stepped outside, they realized their problems were just beginning. The arena complex was in the middle of a huge city filled with millions of aliens. Where could they go? How could they hide? "We need to get to the spaceport," Jack said. "If we can steal a ship, we might be able to get off this planet." "The spaceport is 20 miles away," Lisa pointed out. And there are checkpoints everywhere. They'll be looking for us. Danny looked up at Nixara. Do you know another way? The big cat made a thoughtful rumbling sound, then started walking away from the city center. She led them down side streets and through abandoned buildings. It seemed like she knew every hidden path in the city dot. As they walked, something strange started happening. Other aliens began following them. Not guards or soldiers, but regular people who lived in the city. They stayed back at a distance, but Danny could see them watching. Why are they following us? Katie asked nervously. An old alien with gray skin and kind eyes stepped forward from the crowd. Because word has spread about what you did, he said. In broken human language, the boy who tamed the shadow, the child who showed mercy to a killer. I didn't tame her, Danny said. She's not a pet. She's my friend. The old alien smiled. Yes, that is why the people follow. You show that friendship is possible between any creatures. Even enemies can become family. More aliens joined the group as they walked through the city. Some were former prisoners who had escaped from other arenas. Others were just people who were tired of the violence and cruelty of their world. They all wanted to see the human boy and his impossible friend Dot. By the time they reached the outskirts of the city, hundreds of aliens were walking with them. Danny felt overwhelmed. He had just wanted to survive and find his sister. He never expected to start some kind of movement. Danny, Katie said, look ahead. In front of them was a group of creatures that looked like Nixara, but smaller. They were real Kethmori, the original people of this planet. Danny had thought they were. All dead. The largest of the Kethmori, an old male with silver fur, approached Nixara slowly. They touched noses and made soft sounds to each other. Danny could see tears in Nixara's orange eyes. Her family, Danny whispered. She found her family. The old Kethmori looked at Danny with wise golden eyes. When he spoke, his voice was deep and musical. You gave her back herself, he said. For many years, the aliens made her forget who she was. They made her think she was just a killer. But you reminded her that she was Kethmori. You reminded her that she could choose love over violence. What's your name? Annie asked. I am Elder Nixthul, the old Kethmori said. And Nixara is my daughter. Danny felt his heart jump. Your daughter? But I thought she was taken from us when she was very young, Nixthul explained. We searched for her for many years, but the aliens hid her well. We never stopped hoping we would find her again. Nixara nuzzled her father, then walked back to Danny. She gently picked him up in her mouth and placed him on her back. Danny had ridden on Nixara before during their escapes through the tunnels, but this felt different. This felt like an honor. She wants you to ride with her to the spaceport, Nixthul said. You are family now, young human. You are Kethmori in your heart. The journey to the spaceport became like a parade. Thousands of aliens walked with them, all wanting to see the human boy who had done the impossible. They sang songs and languages. Danny did not understand, but he could tell they were happy songs. At the spaceport, they found several human ships that had been captured by the Vorthans. Jack Morrison, who knew about military equipment, was able to get one of them running. But before they could leave, the pitmaster Grixmull arrived with an army of soldiers. Stop right there, Grixmull shouted through a loudspeaker. Return the shadow to the arena immediately, or we will kill you all. The crowd of aliens who had been following Danny grew quiet. The soldiers had big weapons and looked ready to use them. For a moment, it seemed like the adventure was over. But then Nixara stepped forward. She was not alone. Her father and dozens of other Kethmori came with her. They formed a line between the soldiers and a crowd of peaceful aliens. You will not harm the boy, Elder Nixthul said to Grixmull. He has shown us that there is another way to live. He has shown us that enemies can become friends. We will not let you destroy that hope. Your people are supposed to be extinct, Grixmal snarled. We are not extinct, Nixthal said calmly. We have been hiding, waiting for the right time to reclaim our world. That time is now. The standoff lasted for long minutes. Danny could see that Grixmal wanted to order his soldiers to attack, but he was afraid. The Kethmori were legendary. Fighters when they were protecting something they loved. Finally, Danny climbed down from Nixara's back and walked toward the soldiers. Katie tried to stop him, but he gently pulled away from her hand. Wait, Danny called to Grixmal. I want to make a deal with you. A deal? The pitmaster laughed. You are just a child. What could you possibly offer me? I'll come back to the arena, Danny said. The crowd gasped. Katie screamed, No. But Danny continued, I'll come back and fight any creature you want. But if I win, you have to let everyone go. All the prisoners, all the slaves, everyone. And if you lose? Then you get what you wanted anyway, Danny said simply. Grixmal thought about this. The crowds would pay huge amounts to see the famous human boy fight again. And if the boy lost, the troublesome rebellion would be over. Very well, Grixmal said. But you fight alone? The shadow stays here. No, Danny said. She comes with me. We're a team. Absolutely not. The shadow is too dangerous. Danny smiled. If she's too dangerous for your arena, then maybe your arena isn't as tough as you think it is. This made Grixmal angry, which was exactly what Danny wanted. Angry people make bad decisions. Fine, the pitmaster shouted. You and the beast against anything I choose. Tomorrow at sunset. When you both die, this rebellion dies with you. The crowd cheered, but Danny felt scared. He had just bet his life and Nixara's life on one fight. He hoped he had made the right choice. That night, in the human ship, Danny sat with Katie and Nixara. His sister was upset with him for agreeing to go back to the arena. You could have just left, Katie said. We coup.